Hello. My name is Mercy Maina. I'm a Kenyan living in Germany, and there are a few things that I would like to share, or something I would like to discuss or talk about. And one of the things that has been disturbing me of late is the fact that as Kenyans in diaspora, not only Kenyans in diasporas, but mostly people living in diaspora, we always think of going back home and investing back home and sending money back home to build whatever it is, palaces, apartments, homes, and big dreams that we always think of doing back home. And that has been my dream. I came here in 2009, and that was always my dream, to build back home where I come from, maybe build my home, my retirement home, or my home, and also build apartments or whatever it is, or buy apartments and lands and a lot of land. Anyway, when I came here after I did my studies and I started working, every single cent I would get, I was thinking of how can I get a cheaper plot, or where I can invest, or something to invest back at home, and have something back at home that has my name. And I did that, and I with a few friends, or three friends, we bought a few properties here and there. We used to look for those plots that were being advertised online, and we would look for somebody, send them there, they go, they talk with the seller, and they go for sightseeing for us on our behalf. We send them money, and they buy for us these plots. And one time I went somewhere, somebody had told us, it's a beautiful place, and I went there. It's somewhere in Mbere in Kenya, that is Eastern Kenya. And when I went there myself, I said, okay, this is not somewhere I want to live, even an investment. I don't want, but I had already bought the land there. And then after some times, after buying several plots and investing some properties in Kenya, I realized I'm only investing in Kenya and I'm doing nothing where I'm living. And that's when something happened to me last year, where I realized if I was to die on this date, if I died on this date, or even today, what will happen to my properties in Kenya, which are spread all over? What will happen? And I think some of us might identify, or some of you might identify with me, where you bought properties or in your home country, and your children, especially if you have children where you're living, like here in Germany, have my children here, they will not get access to these properties. So I'm busy investing back home, but my children, there is no way they are going to go to Kenya and live there because they are Germans. And not only that, not only my children, but I also have a Kenyan who was married to a Kenyan, and she once told me, Mercy, I no longer want to invest back at home, because number one, I have invested a lot. My children were born here in Germany. They have gone to school here in Germany. They are going to study here and work here. They don't know anything. Even the grandmothers or whatever it is, they are back in the village. They know no one. They once or twice visited Kenya, but you realize that their life is here. They identify themselves as Germans. So that's what made me think, what if we are investing back home and then we leave all this property to people who don't even matter to us, or we don't matter to them? And that is very sad, because we over-sacrifice ourselves. Whatever we get, we buy home, we invest back home, but we even forget ourselves here. We have bills to pay, and even in Germany or wherever you are, even if it's America, you can invest there, especially if your children are there. I'm talking about people who have their children in the country they are living, especially children born in these countries in Europe. These children born in Europe, they are not going to look for those properties in Africa. They are not going to fight with their uncles, with their aunts, their cousins, grandmother over the land. I have a few cases maybe I would like to share with you, and so that they might enlighten you. There is a case of a Kenyan lady who was married here in Germany, and she had a German passport. So she used to go very rarely to Kenya, but she had invested a lot, and she was buying land over through her cousins, through her brothers, and actually even through her father. And then the father died. She had even built a very beautiful big home for the dad. The dad died, and after some time she decided she wanted to go to Kenya and have her properties in her name. So she took a flight. She went. She had written to her cousin. He had called them, to her brothers and sisters, and told them, I'm coming. I would like you to change my properties which you bought in your names, because I did not have a Kenyan identity card. Now I want them to be changed to my name, or to my son's name, because the son was born in Kenya but he was living here in Germany. And what happened? This lady went to have her land, those lands that she had bought, the property that she had bought, changed from the cousin's name, the brother's name, to her name, but she never made it back to Germany. She died in Kenya. And that is just one of the examples that from a few that I have. And then there was a Ghanaian guy, a guy from Ghana. He was buying land in his home country. He built a very beautiful home. And the wife was telling a friend of mine, they never went for holidays, because every single cent that this guy earned here in Germany, he was investing back at home. He was building his mansion. And then his wife and the daughter, he had only one child, was staying here. So he would take his leave and go to Africa, maybe a month or two, build, and then come back. And when that house was finished, he went home. He became sick. And when the time came for him to come back, he couldn't come back. And after some time, he died there. And the brothers and the sisters never told the wife in Germany that the brother or her husband had died in Africa, in Ghana. So they never told them on time. So after 2-3 days, when they told her that he had died in Africa, that he was sick and he had died. And they warned her that she has nothing in that homestead. Whatever the brother had belongs to them, to the sisters and the brothers, and not to his wife or the child. So that is scenario number 2, where you think, what would happen to me if I was to die today? I have invested a lot of properties back home. Will my brothers and sisters make sure that my daughter, my children get my properties? No, they won't. Some would even would even go to an extent of killing those children if they go looking for those properties. I had a scenario last year where I thought, yeah, it was so bad. I thought I was going to die, and it was so bad. And after getting out of that scenario, I sat down and thought, what would happen to my properties that I have in Kenya? That's when I sat down, and before I was saying, I want to go home, I want to go build, I want to do this. And I even told my daughter, I'm waiting for you. When you are big, when you're grown up, I'll go back to Kenya and live there. And she said, it's okay. But remember, your family, it's not the family that you come from. The family that you build, the family that you get, those are the people who are going to stand with you. Yeah, your daughter, your children, that is your family. The other ones, not everyone is wishing their children well. Anyway, so I had told my daughter I'll go back home. I even refused to take the German passport. I said I want to stay the way I am with the Kenyan passport as long as I am allowed to stay in Germany. I have the German, the papers to stay here. But after some time, I'm going to go home. So something happened, and it was so severe. And that night, when I woke up, or so whatever it was, when I got out of this shock from this incident, I decided to write a will for my children, for my properties. And as I was writing this will, I was crying, because one thing opened my mind. What would have happened had I died on this day? What would have happened to my properties? Yeah. And that's when I realized my children will get none of them. I have... maybe the properties would have gone with my siblings, my parents. I don't know who would, because even in the family, I've come to realize that some people are actually after properties that do not belong to them, things they never worked for. And that's when I realized, if I would have died on this night, my children would have gotten nothing. I'm working so hard, I'm investing back home, but my children would have been left with nothing. maybe with debts in Germany. So that's why you should think twice before you over-invest back home. Think twice. What would happen to your children if your children are living outside the country? If your children were born outside the country, you have them. I'm talking to diaspora guys. If you have your children here in diaspora, and most of them, in most cases, those children born in diaspora, they are not going to look for those properties in Kenya. So think twice when you are investing. I'm not saying that it's bad to invest back home, but do not overinvest, because the cases I've even had, somebody was telling me a story today, and she told me, anyway, she knows herself, I won't talk about her name, I won't say her name, but she told me, do you know what, I started building an apartment, and that apartment over 20 years, it's still there. 20 years, oh, yeah, not 20, 2008 anyway, yeah. And that apartment, up to now, it's not yet finished. I asked her, what is the problem? She told me, yeah, because my brother wants to take my property. Although I bought this property, it's not something that I inherited from my parents, but I have helped my family, but they are not grateful. What they want is what I have. Although I have helped them, I have sacrificed. And she told me, today I had a wake-up call from my daughter. She told me, do you know what, Mom, you are over-investing back home. Yeah, and we here, we have to work hard to pay our school fees, our university fees, and you are busy helping people back at home. People back at home, they are dangerous. Let me tell you one thing, especially those people we call our relatives. They can be very dangerous, especially in matters of properties. Be it that those properties you inherited them or you bought them yourselves. Yeah, that's when you realize that when it comes to money or properties, it's not a joke. They can even have you killed. Anyway, I had another incident also. Somebody was telling me of a certain Kenyan lady. She went for holiday in Kenya, and she met her brother and cousins, had some good time, but she went to a hotel, and the next day she was found dead. And this brother is the one who was managing her properties in Kenya. He was managing her B&B. She had apartments, and I don't know what happened. God knows. Anyway, those are some of the incidences which are wake-up calls whereby you should think what would happen. You should not over trust the people back at home, your family. You have your children here. If you have your children here in Europe, think twice. Do not overinvest. I'm not saying it's bad to invest back home, but do not put all your eggs in one tray, that you are saying, I'm investing, I'll go back. What will happen to your children when you leave them here behind? Even if they are adults, you will miss your grandchildren. And do you think life is easy back at home? Yeah. When you leave, ask yourself, if I was to leave today, will my children get my property? No. Your siblings, your uncles, your relatives are the ones who are going to get those properties, but not your children in most cases. And that is something I've heard from several people, because those people back home, they see you as a money, what do you call it, ATM. Okay, that was just my idea. If you have something to share, you can share. But yeah, that's my opinion, and I just hope I have enlightened one or two people, and yeah, that you make the right decision when it comes to investing home. Anyway, let me finish something. When I was having this incident that happened to me, I thought I was going to die. And after when I was writing the will, I realized, even if, whom would I trust? That's the question I asked. Whom would I trust? I identified two people whom I thought I would trust. And after, I never told them anything. I just wrote their numbers, their names, and their email address, how they could be contacted, because I was planning to take this will to the attorney here. But after some time, I came to realize that one of these persons whom I had identified, whom I thought was very close to me, was not a friend. Actually, was him and his he or she was not a friend, they were one of those people who will do something bad just to hurt you, to see you go down, or to and he knew what his I don't want to say much about it. He or she knew whatever, the family knew whatever they were doing to bring me down. My business is down. And when you realize who these people are in your life, who are they, when God shows you who they are, then I think it was a wake-up call. Since then, I decided if there is a German passport being given, I will take. If there is an investment I'm going to do, I'll do it here where I'm living, because this is where my children are. And when the time comes that I decide to go back home, I will not go build near my family. I will go very far away, another end of Kenya, where they'll never know where I am, because those people, they will come after you. They'll come after your properties. When they see that you're developing, they get jealous. Something that I've realized. And yeah, that's the final word I wanted to say. Let me give you a scenario. I know of not a relative, somebody who is abroad, and when they were going abroad, they took their title deeds, the what do you call them, the land certificates. They took them, they had several, they took them to their relative, and they said, because I trust this relative, let me put my certificates here, and then I leave the country. And then this person went, and they kept on buying land, God bless them, outside the country, wherever the country is. And they were sending wherever they will get money, they will send to their relatives, to the siblings, buy me this land, buy me, buy and take these land certificates to this person because I trust this person. Then this person family who was keeping the documents, they got greedy and jealous of their relative who is abroad. And what they are doing, they are planning the way they would eliminate the children belonging to this person who is outside the country, who has invested, so that they can take over the properties. Anyway, that is a story of another day. So think twice. Actually, what I did with my property documents, I did take them to a bank. And there you put your trustee name. But the person I did put, I think I'm going to change, or I just take I go sell those properties. I come and live here because I'm allowed to stay here. Anyway, you people think about it, and I hope you make the right decisions.